welcome to another Turing Dev Talks. My name is Jose and I'm tuning in from Montreal, Canada. Today on the panel, we have Somoye, a very special guest because he expert in Ruby on Rails. And believe it or not, for me, I don't know anything about Ruby on Rails, but I think this interview will be really short because my experience with Ruby on Rails is you type one word and then you have the magic wrapping. You know what I mean? So you just type one word, press enter, and then you have your application running with tests, anything else. So just one word. That's what I believe. Okay, but before we get started, so I'd like to begin this discussion. Okay, and then let me share with you just a few interesting about Somoye. So he is not only expert in Ruby on Rails, but he also expert in DevOps using Kubernetes, okay, and Terraform. So he also experienced in technology like web technology like React.js, Node.js, mainly with Express. Okay. Also, I'm looking for you, Somoye, today to explain me what's Ruby, what's the difference between Ruby and Ruby on Rails. Okay. So let's get started. Hi, Somoye. How are you doing? And what could you tell me about Lagos, Nigeria?
Yeah, I'm quite fine. Yeah, and just being caught up in the day-to-day activities, right? So trying to do what I always know how to do best. Lagos, Nigeria. It's one of the most interesting places to ever be in Nigeria as a whole. Um, well, by default, I would also say that Lagos is more or less like the best state in Nigeria, right?
Nice.
When you're ranking states in Nigeria, you talk about Lagos first before Abuja. Everybody in Nigeria literally wants to be in Lagos. So yeah,
Cool.
that's one interesting thing about Lagos. It's literally the most industrialized. Almost every companies that exist in Nigeria have their headquarters in Lagos. So yeah, so any company that has an headquarter in Nigeria, you can be 1001% sure that will be in Lagos. It's very, very, very civilized, very busy city. And yeah, the list just
Nice.
keep going on.
Cool. And how is the weather there? Is there cold or hot?
Well, unlike the Western world where it's always literally almost cold always, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think generally in Africa the weather is literally around mid and a bit hot. Right now it's about 35 degree, right? So I'm
Jesus
sure
Christ. Yeah, it's really
I'm sure
hot.
yeah
Yeah.
it's about 35 degree here in Nigeria right now. So yeah, that's literally how the weather is right now. Yeah, in
Okay,
Lagos,
so
Nigeria.
one question. Are you during the winter or the summer? Summer, right? Because yeah, you are
Yes, we're
below the
currently in summer. Yeah,
summer.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
currently
So
in summer.
I'm in the top of the world. So I am during the winter. So the top of the world, okay, is winter. The bottom is summer. So I am
Oh,
originally
wow.
from Brazil. They are in summer there. The temperature is so hot like
Oh.
yours, but I'm in Canada, and today is a hot day. Okay, believe me, it's -1 degree. It's a hot day.
And you call it hot.
Yeah, it's a hot
Minus
day
one is
today.
hot. Interesting.
-1 is
Wow.
hot. Yeah, because we're during the winter. Okay, in summer we have 20 degrees above zero. Yeah, positive degrees.
Well, I think I agree with that because if it's really cold, I'm sure you'll be putting on, uh, a
Yeah,
coat other than a
two
t-shirt. So
coats, two coats. To go outside is
definitely.
just you have
Wow.
to put one coat and then put another coat and then
No,
put
that wow.
a boot. Yeah, you cannot go like I'm wearing right now. All right, man. So this is awesome. Thanks for sharing about your country. I love that. Okay. But let me go back to the Ruby on Rails. Okay. So what could you tell me? Okay. How would you sell Ruby or Ruby on Rails for me that I don't know anything about it? How would you sell Ruby or Ruby on Rails? What's Ruby and what's Ruby on Rails?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. And I will literally try to be as basic and
Mm-hmm.
simple as possible, just for our audience to also to be able to follow along with what Rails is and
Great.
Ruby in general, right? So
Right.
so let me start with the word with Ruby itself. So Ruby is literally a programming language,
Mm-hmm.
like the likes of Java, the likes of JavaScript, the likes of C Sharp, the likes of Python. Yes, Ruby is also a programming language. Interestingly, it is also an object-oriented language. So everything in Ruby literally is a class, sorry, an object. right?
Uh-huh.
And so object that comes from a class. So it be it Boolean or data types, right? If you try to add the dot class to it when writing Ruby, you would literally get the data type. So everything an object is in Ruby is literally an object, right? And it's very easy to learn. So for a very complete beginner, Ruby syntax reads like normal English, right? So it makes it super easy to pick it up and learn. In short, I can tell you for free that it's one of the easiest language to learn, right? It's very simple. So for instance, just the way we have console.log in JavaScript, right? That's what
Mm-hmm.
sounds so vague, the word console. Not everyone would know. But in Ruby, the equivalent is put something, right?
Oh,
So the
got it.
word
Yeah.
put, it's very, straightforward. That you want to put something, PUTS. So instead of console.log as we have in JavaScript, right? Or okay, well, I think Python 2 is also very similar with Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
When you say print, one can literally insinuate that you want to show something, right? Unlike console.log that we have in JavaScript. So with Ruby, it's put. It's just so simple like that. And Rails is literally a web framework
Mm-hmm.
used to build full stack applications that are server side rendered. So when you build full stack application using Rails,
Uh-huh.
it's literally server side rendered,
It's a
meaning it's
monolith
built from the
application,
back
right?
end.
It's a monolith
Yes,
application.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Great.
Yeah, exactly,
Uh-huh.
exactly. That kind of thing. And you could also use Rails for API only applications, right? So if you decide to outsource your front end to React, Vue,
Mm-hmm.
Angular, what have you, right? Rails can actually be used for API only. And another interesting thing about Ruby on Rails is the fact that being a complete beginner, right, it helps you put conventions in place, which prevents you from writing bad code, right? So by default, Rails enforces, the MVP pattern, MVC pattern, I mean, the model view controller. So even when you're completely new to Rails, right, it still helps you put those convention and structure in place just to, accompany you on the side, not to write bad code, right? That
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. So it enforces it by default. Yeah, the MVC pattern is the default way, default architecture being used in, Rails, and
Got
it's
it.
very easy to scaffold. Yeah, one more interesting thing, about Rails is, believe it or not, for free, you can actually bootstrap a full stack Ruby on Rails application in
I
four
know.
simple
I
lines.
know that. I
Four
know
simple
that.
lines.
Yeah. My experience
Yeah.
with Ruby is like watching, of course. I never wrote any single line of code, but it's like
Okay.
uh variable A, enter, boom, you have a full stack application.
Yeah. Yes. That's true. That's true.
This is
Yeah, Rails is
awesome.
very easy. Yeah.
Yeah. It
It's
really helps.
very fast for typing.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It
really
makes for
help
typing
to
fast.
create files and testing, right? So speaking about that, so I've heard that Ruby has an internal unit test library, right? How it works?
Yes. Yeah, so although it's always advisable to use RSpec,
Uh-huh.
right? So which that's not the default with Rails. Rails has its own test runner that comes with it, right? But then by default, the standard you get is literally RSpec, and RSpec so much integrates with Rails, right? So it makes test-driven development as seamless as possible, right? So when you use a Rails generator, for instance, it automatically generates the test file for you, right? And even gives you the structure,
That's
the
why I
way you
use
have it
test-driven
spelled
design,
out.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
All right,
yes, it
that's
really
so
makes it.
cool. Yeah. So my experience with JavaScript and testing, okay, without any scaffolder to generate auto-generate tests is like annoying because you have to write the files, the entire file from scratch. So let's suppose you
Yes,
want to test like 5 files, you have to write 5 file tests and write everyone from the beginning. So that's really
yeah,
annoying. Yeah, without a
true,
scaffolder,
true.
I mean, yeah, it could take a while, but that's great, man. So I would like to ask you, okay, about what's view. Oh, sorry, what Ruby or Ruby on Rails it's used for? What's the common user? It's for API or it has a particular use case for that?
So Rails strength literally lies in web development, right? 99% of the time, right, it's used for building web applications like web development. That's Rails standard. and real strength. So unlike Node.js that you could use for a lot of things, such as
Mm-hmm.
desktop applications, you have the lectures and all. So real strength literally just lies in developing web applications. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Yeah, man. So that's so really interesting. Okay, I would like to ask you because I've heard that they release a new version of Ruby, right? Ruby 3.1, if I'm not wrong. I
Yeah.
would like to ask you, what are the changes from the previous version for that new one?
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I would say, right, the focus of this particular release and for Rails, right, was to bring
Mm-hmm.
support for 3.1, right?
Right.
And also some bug fixes. Rails Ruby 3.1 was released last Christmas, December 25. So and yeah, Rails new version 7.0.2, was literally released to bring support for Ruby 3.1. Although it also came alongside some bug fixes and of course a better API documentation. So this version of Rails, right, has really been years in conceptual making, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
more or less like the new fulfillment to bring about a fully full stack approach to building web applications that tackles both the front end and the back end of web applications with equal vigor. You would also agree with me that so a few years back this was literally not possible, as we didn't really have the core technology in place, but you know with the widespread adoption of HTTP2,
Mm-hmm.
improvement in browser support for ES6, it's finally now, possible
Oh,
to do
that's
this. And
that's
yeah,
so cool. That's another
yeah,
question that we're going to ask you. So, because I've seen framework that we cannot use ES6 without having a extra step to pre-process or compile the front end. It is native on Ruby now.
yes, it is. It is. It's completely native now because it allows you, okay, so before what we had in Rails 6.6 Rails and downward were literally
Uh-huh.
a very tightly coupled embrace of Webpack with Webpacker. But right now in Rails 7, they had literally done away with that, and they replaced it with a very loosely coupled approach, which allows you to literally use any bundler, be it ES build, who really doesn't like ES build, even rolling JS. Yeah, even if you still want to use Webpack, right? They give you the
Uh-huh.
freedom to use any bundler now, through the JS bundle. And that's really something very cool and amazing about this new Rails version.
All right. So yeah, so I have a follow-up question, okay, regarding what you just said. So can I use more than JavaScript? Can I install any JavaScript library or package, okay, from NPM if we use this new Ruby version?
Yeah, sure, you can. Yeah, sure. In Rails now, Rails 7.1, although it's taking these advances of browser support for ES6, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
it takes all these, to deliver a no node default approach to the front end applications. But even though it's now doing that, right, it does this without sacrificing access to the NPM packages or modern JavaScript in the process, right? So yeah, it's literally still possible to install and use JavaScript even in Rails 7.1 above now. It's still very
Because
much possible.
because I have this freedom to use to write a Webpack file, right?
Yes, sure. And not just Webpack. Webpack was the default and only way before
Uh-huh.
now. But right in this new version, you literally can use any JavaScript bundler, be it ES build,
Got
rolling
it.
JS, and yeah, even the common Webpack that we all know.
No, this is so cool. Yeah, I think Ruby is on top for me right now. Yeah. So, but
Nice.
this is like different, okay? Because I have experience with PHP framework that it's not that easy if you want to work, for example, with new JavaScript versions, right? Yeah, man. So, and I have a follow-up question about this. Okay. I would like to talk about job opportunities. Okay. So, how would you see Ruby slash Ruby on Rails in the market? So, what's the future about that? About do you think that we have many open positions for Ruby or Ruby on Rails?
Yeah, thank you, Josh. So, with respect to open roles for Rails applications,
Uh-huh.
developers, right? I would say it's endless, right? You jump on LinkedIn today, any hiring platform, right? You would always
Mm-hmm.
see roles for Ruby on Rails, right? And the strength of Ruby on Rails happens to be in web applications, like I initially
Got it.
talked about, right? So that really cannot be taken away from it, right? So it's just so enormous and endless. And some example of companies that currently use Rails. We have
Mm-hmm.
Airbnb, which is for housing, right? We also have Basecamp, which is a project management system.
Uh-huh.
Even the popular GitHub, right? Which
GitHub
is a
is
version
built on
control.
Ruby on Rails.
Yes, it's built on Rails. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I knew that.
the
Yeah, I already knew that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And even the awesome Shopify that people used to build their online stores is also built on Rails, right? Using the SaaS model. So all these examples, really exemplify the
Uh-huh.
versatility of Rails, in almost all industries, right? So
Great.
using
Yeah.
Rails to
Yeah,
build,
and cool. What's cool about this is because you mentioned a few companies, okay? And at Turing, we have open position for I cannot say the company name, but I pretty much sure that that company that you mentioned, we have open position for one of them. It'll make you know what I mean? So
interesting,
if you okay, let me
interesting.
give you a tip for our audience. So if you are a Ruby on Rails and you have 3+ years of experience, okay, so we need you, okay, we need to hire you. So you have a chance to work at Turing. I recommend you to go to Turing website, turing.com / jobs, and then you can search for Ruby position and apply for them. Okay, and then once you apply, you go through the vetting process, and once you clean that, you'll be working for a huge companies with Ruby. Am I right,
Yeah,
Shoboy?
nice. That sounds so interesting. Yeah. So yeah, everyone should please, give it a shot.
Yeah,
Rails
yeah,
is
and
super
yes.
interesting.
And if you like that kind of contents, I recommend you to give us a thumbs up for that. Okay, subscribe to Turing channel because we are sharing a lot of cool tips here today. And if you enjoy that, we can keep going. And then just let us know. Let a comment below if you have any question for me or for Shomoe. And if you have any other question that we didn't answer you today, okay, if you want to know a little bit more about everything, you can go and reach us out at supporting@turing.com. Okay, you can send us a message, and we have a dedicated team for that, and then we usually reply them in the same day. Okay, now we talk about jobs. Okay, you know how to get one. We talk a little bit about Ruby on Rails, and you have this clear understand what's the difference between them. Okay, I would like to talk about the community. Okay, so I'd like to ask you, uh, what does the community support? Okay, so is there any? So if you want to start learning Ruby on Rails, where should we start?
Okay, so I will try to answer the question on community support, right? Then
Okay.
I will talk about how to get started with Rails. So um, in all fairness, right, Rails literally improves every year, right, through the work
Right.
of thousands of volunteers, right, be it in way big or small, and anyone can literally help to make the framework better. Be it you've been around from the beginning, or probably you just started yesterday, or you've not even started at all, right? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but on an eye level, they have a core team, they have an alumni team, and they also have a committer team. So let me try to explain these three teams in a little bit more of details, right? So a group of
Uh-huh.
long-term contributors,
Uh-huh.
who manage release, they also help evaluate pull requests. They do a lot of the groundwork, on major new fixes, and the people referred to as the core team, right? So they're the one that help again, like manage pull requests, do the actual groundwork on major new fixes, right? Then I talked about the committer team too also, right? They are the one that they help
Uh-huh.
process pull requests, right? The major difference between the committer teams and the core team is that the committer teams don't have the key to make the final release of policy, unlike the way the Kotlin does, right? And
Mm-hmm.
upon these two standard ones are the alumni team, which everyone literally belongs to, making commits and in any important way to you feel you could assist in making the framework better, treat
Uh-huh.
evangelism, helping to see how to document the the application way better, so it's really really huge, and there's literally very big huge support community for Rails, right? And so getting started with Rails, in all fairness, my first point of call would literally be the documentation, right?
Right.
Even tutorials you watch on YouTube or on any platform, you can be 99% sure that they first need to understand the documentation before they
Uh-huh.
can do a tutorial out of it. So yeah, there's no two there's no a second option to the actual documentation, because that is literally what gives you the entire concept about any framework, be not just Rails in particular, but in general, documentations are always like the first point of call. Apart from documentation, I would also suggest Go Rails. Yeah, so it's
I will. I will go Rails for sure.
and one other platform I used in the past was Codecademy, right? What I love about Codecademy is the fact that it teaches you any concept or anything in a fun and interactive way,
Uh-huh.
right? Through interactive coding, instant feedback and all. So yeah, pretty much, starting out with any of those three, or majorly those three, then picking it up to checking out more tutorials on YouTube per se, you know,
Nice.
it will help you understand the framework more better. And lastly, I would say, right, keep practicing, keep practicing. When you watch a particular
So
concept,
cool.
do it, watch it again, so you have a better understanding of it. And as much as possible, I would also advise that you try to replicate that without any generators or peradventure any, co-pilot or something, so that you actually understand how to write these things, bare bones. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much my advice to anyone that really wants to pick up Rails. And yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Nice. Really cool, man. So you really speak very well. All right. So I will definitely start learning Ruby. Okay. Just to see how it goes. And then I will let you guys know what's my experience as a non-Ruby developer. Okay. My first experience, my first impression with Ruby, I will let you guys know about this. So that's nice, man. So, and my last question for you, okay, is if I would like to list, okay, the key concepts of Ruby, what it would be.
Yeah, and first and foremost, I would rank its object-oriented nature above any other
Uh-huh.
thing, right?
Uh-huh.
It literally makes it's OOP is like the major concept programming really lies upon. So Ruby is fully object-oriented. So yeah, it's one of the things I would rank above any other thing Ruby. Then I would also say its simplicity, right? Compared to other languages
Yeah,
that I've
very
worked with in the
simplicity.
past.
That's you are right,
Yes,
because
it's
it's one line of code. You have like 3 apps running.
yeah, that's true. So, and even up to naming conventions, right? Unlike JavaScript that you need const or let, with
Yeah.
Rails, sorry, Ruby, you just say Josh equals this, Somoye equals this, right? So it's simplicity, and even all its data types, right? It uses the array, the string, it has so many methods that you can think of, so many methods, right? And almost there's always a shortcut, especially when working with Rails, for almost anything you want to do. Be it check out migrations, check out the database
Mm-hmm.
console, right? There's always almost a shortcut for everything. So even something as seeing if a number is odd or even, that doesn't exist in JavaScript, right? By default. But with Rails, you have a method called .odd, .even, right? Even to check if a particular variable is null, it has the .new, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has almost anything you could think of by default, right? It comes with default packed in Ruby, so it has a lot of classes and a lot of methods. So yeah, those are like major things that really make takes my interest in Ruby. and Ruby on Rails in general.
Nice. And I've heard that we can use generators with Ruby, right? Because we can use generators in JavaScript. People don't use that, but we can, and we can do that with Ruby too, right? Generators, iterators, symbol.
Yeah. Sure. It's also exists in Ruby. Yeah, just like JavaScript, like you said, the function, keyword, and the star, which is used to create generators. Yeah, although it's really not being used as much as regular functions, right? And
Yeah.
same in Ruby, but yeah, they literally exist, even up to symbols, creating sets. Ruby is very, very fantastic, even when working with data structure and algorithm, right? It allows creating hashes, heat maps, what you could really just think of. It's way straightforward, with even up to linked list, right? It's super easy, and and Ruby just makes your life so easy with that. Well, on the
Nice.
side of Rails, yeah, just like you rightly know, you could build a full stack application in just 4 easy steps, right? Way beyond that, I don't think there's any other framework that beats Rails in terms of speed to prototype, or to quickly scaffold an application, right? So without those 4 commands, it helps you create the entire 7 RESTful routes, right? It also helps you create the entire 7 RESTful controllers, even up to the views, right? So it's just just so
Amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah. And so it's easy to run migrations, right? And keep your database up to date with your classes, right?
Yes. And you can use both NoSQL and SQL database with Rails. So by default, Rails comes with Postgres. Postgres and Rails are like 5 and 6. By default, it's just SQL. I mean, it's like the
Yes.
default for Rails, right? So when you scaffold the Rails application, it comes with SQLite 3. But yeah, you could change it to any SQL application. Funny enough, it has this ORM that helps you query the database without having to write any SQL, right? So, for instance, you say the name of the model dot all, instead of having to write select star from this table, blah blah blah, with normal SQL with Rails
Nice.
active record. That's the name of the ORM. You just say the name of the model dot all, and it fetches you everything,
Nice.
right? So, if you even want to get the first record, right, you just need to say the model dot first, right, and it gets you the first record. Same thing as model dot last, it gets you the last one. Same thing as model dot second, it gets you the second record, right? So it's there's literally almost a shortcut for almost anything you could think with Rails. And yeah, on the NoSQL side, they have the Mongo gem. Mongo is pronounced Mongo gem, which helps you integrate MongoDB, for instance, which is NoSQL with Rails. So if you're a fan of NoSQL database, and or be it a fan of SQL database, I would say Rails has you covered.
Great. And do you have anything for WebSockets? For example, if you want to create a WebSocket server with Ruby, is that possible?
Yeah, sure. Like, okay. So again, like I said, right, the core of Rails is web applications, building full stack web applications. So anything you could think of can be done in Rails in
Okay,
respect to
so
web
can we
applications.
use
So yeah.
GraphQL? Can we use GraphQL?
Okay, so I really have only tried GraphQL with Node.js before, because it's seamless. But I can tell you for free, right? If we do a little bit more of digging, you would literally realize that is also possible.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
But then Rails has this serializer. One of the major calls of GraphQL is being able to serialize the request object you send. And so with Rails, we have some default serializers, and ways to actually serialize object being sent back to the front end. So yeah, Rails just is just so amazing to work with, especially when building web applications in general.
Thank you, man. Thanks for that. That was really, really insightful, really helpful. Okay. With that, we come to the end of this video. So thanks for watching. Okay. Thanks for your thumbs up and your comments. And I hope to see you guys again. Okay. And in that meantime, okay, you can follow us at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Okay, stay close to Turing. That I think you will. I'm pretty much sure that you will find the job that you want. Okay. As that said, so that's a wrap. Thanks, Somoye, for these amazing tips, and I hope to see you again too. Okay. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.